Welcome to Stoughton Spotlight. I'm your host, Jeffrey Pickette. I'm continuing our Conversations with the Candidates series, where I'll be sitting down with the residents running in contested races in this upcoming April town election. There are 3 candidates running for the school committee. There are 2 seats open in this election, and I'm sitting down with one of the candidates on this episode and welcoming Katie Pina-Enokian, the incumbent school committee chair. So Katie, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me, Jeff.
So once again, 3 candidates for the 2 seats, and you're finishing up your first term on the school committee, Katie, and tell us about what led to your decision to run again and pursue a second term.
Well, I feel like there's always going to be work to be done, and I enjoy still being on the school committee. We are still in the building, the new high school, and I'm on that board, which I truly enjoy. And just a lot of Stoughton, to me, is going in such a great direction right now. I'd like to continue and be part of that team.
So certainly over the past 3 years, getting the high school approved by the town was such a big goal and a big accomplishment. So while certainly in the next 3 years the school will actually be constructed,
Yes.
what's your biggest priority now that pretty much the hardest part of that process has been accomplished, and that was getting the project approved? So what should the school committee's biggest goal now be in the next 3 years, or just rather the school districts in general?
Well, I would like to make sure that the children of the school, of the high school, that unfortunately have to go through the construction part of the high school, be able to take part in the new high school. I feel like they're getting gypped, I guess, because the fields aren't going to be there and they have to do a lot of traveling. So I want them to have good memories of the old high school and be part of that new school too. So I'm hoping to incorporate some of the kids being able to go over and take part of that when they can.
In terms of goals academically, what are some of the goals or the initiatives that the district is pursuing, or that you would like to see the district pursue in the near future?
Well, right now the engineering is taking off, and my children absolutely love it. And I feel like that's the direction of a lot of people are going into. It's a hot subject right now, and I like that the after-school option of that is available, and we have buses in place so that parents don't have to worry about their children going to A to B and have to stop and from work. And I feel like in that sense the science and engineering we're really on track with that.
So much is always made about test scores, and the district has done well in some areas, needs improvement in others. When you look at these test scores, how do you assess the school's performance and where it could go?
I feel like Stoughton the growth is always there. We're always going in the right direction. As far as test scores, I've never been a great test taker. And my daughter, who's sometimes she got a B, but she's a very good student. She does not test well either. And I feel like, unfortunately, that those tests bring the community the wrong way. I feel like you should look at where the kids are going when they graduate, if they're happy. That to me is more important than the test grades. If I could do away with standardized testing, I would. But I understand the importance of it, in that so to continue trying to get those test scores moving forward, I would support that 100%. And I believe that they're taking actions to try to help students to get better at that.
What's the role of the school committee in doing that? Because obviously the school committee isn't the instructors, and they're not the board that is even shaping the curriculum. So how does the school committee function in that process?
We have to make sure that the monies are in the budget so that they can get the tools that they need to make that happen.
Well, perfect segue to bring up the budget. So the school budget went up just shy of 4% this year from last in the proposed FY18 budget. And every year leading up to town meeting, there's always a little bit of a tug of war, for lack of a better term, between the ends of Pearl Street and Town Hall and the schools. Obviously, you're here to defend the school budget, but where do you see when you hear from the other side that, we could use some more money too? Do you understand kind of that whole back and forth, give and take?
I absolutely do. Yeah, I appreciate it too. And I know that they have a job to do, as do I. But I feel like as school committee and our business manager and our superintendent, we have come up with a plan to be able to get everything that we do need as a town and move forward and try to put some money aside for the rainy day, and come up with a plan for not using free cash as much. So I do feel like as the school side, we are trying, just as the selectmen side, they are trying too. I do see the need in public safety, and I support their budget 100%.
Well, how do you balance those two, where adding municipal employees, adding police and fire, but also keeping your budget intact? Do you feel there's a way to do that?
Yes, and actually in some of the meetings that we've had, we've come up with the numbers. I don't know, Brian Smith has come up and been working very diligently to try to come up with a solution, and we feel as though we have. I'm not sure where the FinCom sits on that, and I do not want to speak for the selectmen, but I think that we all really know that it's important to get public safety, as it's important for the education of children too. So, I mean, they're very important things. Unfortunately, Stoughton has a lot of rebuilding to do, and we'll have to take it one step at a time, one year at a time.
Sure. And when we talk about the budget, what are some highlights of this FY18 budget that residents should pay particular attention to?
Well, we had to increase a lot with transportation because of the fields being not available. We have also incorporated a lot of things for music, because I believe that going to school isn't just about math and science, and you do have to have a broad array. So I mean, we put some more stuff into that. More money into that line, and we're just pretty much. I mean, a lot of our budget is salaries. And school, as you know, you have to have a teacher to teach, and that I believe really is necessary. And we have excellent teachers, and we need to make sure that everyone is compensated for their time, especially I believe Stoughton teachers are definitely people that don't have that 7 to 2 hour day. They're there well past the time that they're needed to be there.
And again, great segue into the teachers. When you joined the board the first time, there was a teacher contract dispute. There isn't a dispute yet, but there's going to be negotiations for a new contract. So what can you do, if reelected, to see that it doesn't escalate to the point where it did 3 years ago?
I pray that would not happen. I don't believe that anyone on that committee wants that to happen again. We have just opened that up for negotiations, and I believe they've only had like 1 or 2 meetings. So it's still in the early stages, and we just have to go into the negotiating room with respect for one another and get the job done.
And you mentioned the high school. You're on the building committee there. Now that the project has been passed, what's the role of the committee now? What are those Tell us about those meetings, what you're doing in there, and kind of where the project is.
Well, right now we're still searching a place for the superintendent's office, the central office. So that to me is concerning. I need to know that there's some place for the superintendent to have offices. But we're looking into the Jones School, and I'm hoping that that will work out. The other thing is we have the color crew. I'm part of a color crew, so we'll be getting together at the end, actually soon, to pick out colors for the school and go that way. We're also looking at like the design on the outside of the school, because where the bleachers are facing Pearl Street, we want to make sure that it's all nice.
Sure, it reflects well as you drive
yes.
by.
Yeah.
The orientation of the school will certainly change, where the football field now will be that grassy area in front of where the B building and A building is on Pearl Street. Now, there's also a statement of interest that's being submitted for, I believe it might be the third time or fourth time, for the South Elementary School. Now, that actually, when the two statements of interest, the high school and the South Elementary School, were submitted together a few years back, the South School was actually, it said, was in worse structural shape, but for a priority for the district, it was the high school, which serves more students. So how important is it to start the process of getting a new South Elementary School?
Well, I don't want to take us out of that process. I think it's very important that we remain active in that process. There's no guarantee that you will be picked on that, and if you take your school out of it, you get back down to the bottom of the list, which, as you know, South School is in desperate need of repair. And if, you know, as a school committee member, I can't act like nothing is wrong, and we do have to be diligent in trying to make that school compliant and safe for the kids. And it is safe, but, you know, try to make sure that the building is adequate.
Now, the newest elementary school, even just until this new high school is built, the newest building, school building in Stoughton, is built in 1970. So how do you kind of juggle the fact that all of these schools are getting up there in age? They're all 45 plus years old, and in some cases, like the South, Hanson, and West, those were built in the 50s and 60s. So has there ever been any thought to perhaps, rather than replacing each of these schools individually, replacing them in clusters, like a K through 2 school, a 3 through 5, kind of like how like Mansfield operates?
I honestly, I have not even gone down that. I don't know. I have to say, I'm not. I don't believe so. I know that the
what do you think
plans
of that?
for. I'm not sure. I mean, for me, because my kids are already well in, like my youngest is in 3rd grade, so if that were to happen, it really wouldn't impact mine like in a huge way. But I feel like to put all the kids in the elementary into like one building would be a little bit hard for parents to, because I mean, when you're in middle school, I see that the parents kind of get nervous that their kids aren't going to be in their elementary school. They're going into this building with a whole bunch of, you know, different 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and then, you know, you have to kind of get acclimated into that. So I'd have to actually go out and talk to parents and see how their feelings were before I actually took a stance on where I would be on that.
Sure. Now, let's move on to like the inner workings of the school committee itself. And let's just kind of talk about like your transformation a little bit, journey. When you came on the school committee, you were on a different part of a different voting block than you would be now. So how did that that transformation take place? And just to remind, just to add context, when you were running last time, you were elected with one of your current members, Joe Soares, and with Dr. Erdem Ural formed basically a 3-2 majority on the board. But then you switched and it became a 3-2 majority the other way. So tell us about that.
Well, when I was running for school committee, I'll be quite honest, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And then when you get on and you kind of learn what it actually is a school committee member is supposed to do. And then, to get anything done or anything that you would like to get done, you need to be a team player. And you need to see both sides of each story, and you need to be able to give and take. And after sitting and talking to a lot of people and doing my homework, and I reached out to MASC an awful lot, I learned a lot, and I feel like I'm pretty confident in when I have an issue that I do my homework and I try to find out the truth, and you go on facts and you move forward. And I'm elected official for Stoughton schools, and I hope that everyone will see that I'm doing the best I can for them.
What do you feel about the, I would say, criticism that now you're too close to the administration? Because that's out there too. So what would you say to that?
Well, you can't please everyone. You never can. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I feel like I work well with the administration. There's things that we don't see eye to eye, but there's really no need to go out on TV at the meeting and point your finger and name call. It's better to do it, out before you go on the meeting and get it all out, and then come together and work together. And then, I feel like there's always give and take. And I feel like I can work with people no matter if our views are the same or different.
Now, certainly one of the big topics at the school committee for the last several months has been minutes of the meeting.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that and what the board is doing to try to accommodate all sides and also move past talking about minutes.
I'm horrible at the minutes. I feel like, to me, I've let the board down with that. We don't have good luck with recording secretaries, and so when we don't have them, it's my job to be taking notes. I never did well with taking notes, and so to get that on paper is tough. But I've done the best I can, because when I came on the board, we had a backtrack of minutes to get approved. So I feel like since I've been doing these minutes, I've been catching up. And then, just so now when we hired someone, we have them give us their minutes before they get paid. So we're trying to, hopefully that would get the minutes to us quicker, but it doesn't seem to work. So we're still trying to chase minutes.
But also more so just what's in the minutes itself.
Yes.
With whether if a member makes a statement, whether there should be the entire statement, just a summation of the statement.
It's supposed to be a summary of the statement, and I feel like we have been. We actually got something back that we did put the summary in adequately. So I feel like as a board we are trying. We're going that extra mile and trying to please that committee member, but I'm not sure that we ever will.
Does it ever come across when you look back and watch the meetings back that there's a friction there between 4 members and another member?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I don't like to watch the meetings at all. But
does that come off well for the schools itself?
No.
That there's a little bit of a distance there.
No, but I will say that I can 100% sit here and say that I have tried. As a committee, we've all tried to appease and try to make those minutes comparable. It's sometimes you just not going to please everyone, like I said, and unfortunately that's not the case. It's not going to happen, and we've tried. I've tried. I've done everything I could do.
So another topic that's come up at the school committee the last couple of meetings has been some anti-Semitic incidences that have happened at the high school. Mm-hmm. And so when you're a school committee member and that comes across your desk, so to speak, what's your initial reaction when you hear that there are multiple incidences that have taken place at the high school, and now we come to find out too that there's also some going on at the middle school? Mm-hmm. So what's your first of all take on the fact that this is happening in Stoughton in our schools?
I think it's very sad. I really do feel bad for the families that are getting impacted by that, and I'm hoping that as Stoughton as a community can come together and be strong Stoughton and figure out a way that we can get a handle on this and just move forward. And I feel like when we can agree to work together and come up with a solution, that we'll have the right steps in place.
And what was your take when you heard the community members and residents, some students, some parents coming up at the last school committee meeting, and the public comment period lasted almost an hour, and there were a lot of opinions shared. How do you take that all in? What I know that you don't get to comment on every single one, and you've received a lot of correspondence, I understand as well, mm-hmm. through email about these situations going on at the high school. So how do you kind of take that all in?
Well, I try to respond to all the emails that I did receive. It's hard because there's another side to the story that is not out, and I feel like I don't even know it, so I can't really talk to it, and but to me it is concerning that this is an issue and we need to address it, and I'm hoping that as a school committee member I'll do the right thing.
And what's the school committee's role in kind of overseeing the administration's handling of everything, and also because there was discipline given out to teachers, of course there was discipline given out to students. What's your role in overseeing this and in seeing that everything was handled in a satisfactory manner?
Well,
or I should say an appropriate manner.
As for discipline on teachers, that will come to school committee in a grievance, and then we'll do that in an executive session, and so that goes that course, and it's always been that way. So that's what I'll have to wait until it comes to school committee for that. As for like the day-to-day, school committee does not get involved in the day-to-day of any schools. However, I feel like this has been such a big issue that I have asked the school committee lawyer to do a review on that, and we're going to have to wait and see what that comes up with before I can speak on that.
And so is the review the whole like the entirety of everybody's response and
yes.
the aftermath?
The whole administration, yes, mm-hmm. everything.
As a parent, would it make you feel more comfortable to get a heads up that something's going on at your child's school, right away, within reason that you can't share all the details and there is student privacy, but just to be let it be known that something's going on mm-hmm. at the school?
Yeah, as a parent, yep. I will say that sometimes you hear things aftermath and you get upset about it. I totally understand that, but there's so much that does happen day to day that does not need to go out as well. So again, I'm in that middle. So I see both sides of that story. So right now I feel like all I can do is, like I said, I have something in place, and hopefully we will be able to learn and move forward.
And lastly on this topic, the need to smooth over relations there seems to be a lot of tension between the teachers at the high school mm-hmm. and the administration. And how do you, again, this might go outside the role of school committee, but the importance of seeing that there can be at least a bridge to smooth some things over there?
I'm just going to have faith that will happen. Like I said, I have gotten asked by the STA to do a few things, and I'm going to do the best I can. I want to seem fair for both sides, and when I get my review back from our school committee lawyer, Attorney Emerson, I will have a meeting, and it can all be discussed then. And hopefully, like I said, I really hope that this can be a learning curve, so that we can just, come together and move forward.
Yeah, I guess, is that what's the most important thing from this to take forward? What do you hope the result of an investigation is, for the long term?
I hope that we next time if something like this happens, I hope that we take we know how to take the proper actions for it, and move forward. Like I said, I feel like this whole situation is unfortunate, and I do see both sides of the story, and so I think that we need to wait and just kind of be patient, see how that happens.
Sure. So in the last couple minutes, overall, what's the state of the Stoughton schools? Where do you feel Stoughton schools are now after 3 years being on the committee?
I think we're moving on up. I feel like that. I love Stoughton schools. I am so proud of the kids. I go in there. I teach box at the Gibbons School, which is a before school program, and the kids are amazing. It's
a fitness program.
Yes,
yep.
And the kids are just they're fabulous. And despite all the the bickering that adults do, the kids come in happy and just wanting to have a good day at school. And I think that is what makes me stay as a school committee member. It's definitely the kids.
And lastly, I've been doing this with all the candidates, a pitch to the residents. Why should the residents of Stoughton, when they go out to vote, cast one of their 2 votes for school committee for you?
Because I believe that I am a team player, and that I'm fair, and I am so proud of Stoughton and the schools, and I will work for them.
All right, well, thank you so much. Katie, I want to thank you for joining me today, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Stoughton Spotlight, our Conversations with the Candidates series. Again, this is all previewing who will be running in contested races in the April town election this year in Stoughton. There are 3 candidates running for 2 spots on the school committee. And make sure you check out our other interviews as well for the selectman candidates and the town moderator candidates. Once again, I'm Jeffrey Pickette. Thanks for tuning in.